Okay, we're on to the Veggie Portrait Demo Part 2. We left off with moving the grapefruit over as the mouth. Let's go ahead and rename the layer, and let's warp the mouth a little bit. So I am on the mouth layer, and I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Warp. Okay, and then from here I can play around with adjusting the shape of the mouth, giving it more of a unique smile. And I'll hit the check mark to commit that change. All right, I am going to go back to the document with the fruits and vegetables, and I'm going to get one more. I'm going to get the tomato over here. It's actually a yellow tomato for the nose. So I'm going to use my zoom tool, zoom in. All right, now I could try out the magnetic lasso again, but it's always a good chance that the quick select will work. So let's try the quick select first. All right, it looks like it made a good enough selection. Let's get the move tool and move it. Let's check. It does look a little bit jagged, but let's go ahead and copy it and paste it over and see how it looks. Copy. Let's go over here and paste. All right, very small. Let's make it bigger. Edit, free transform. Okay, and I'll click the check mark. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and check out the edges. It is a pretty rough selection, so I could go back and reselect it with a different selection tool, maybe the magnetic lasso, and see if that works better. I want to rename that layer nose. But I think that I will get the eraser tool and just spend a little bit of time fixing the edges. I'm also going to give it a little teeny bit of a divot to represent the nostrils. So, you are free to warp your images, adjust them, change them. You don't have to use the fruit as is, okay? So alter them to fit the idea you have in your head about your portrait. Give it some creativity. All right, so I'm gonna even this out a little bit. Smooth it out. All right, so I could leave this looking the same, around the same color as the melon, but I'm going to change the color a little bit so it stands out. Let's use our image adjustments. Image adjustments and hue saturation. All right, so I am going to change the hue slider and alter the color of the nose. I think I'm going to make it a little bit orange to match the eyes, and I think I might decrease the saturation a little bit so it's not so vibrant, and click OK. Now it's time to add some different fruits and vegetables all on your own. So at this stage, I'd like you to go to a stock photo site. Unsplash.com is where I like to go. All right, and I'm going to look for some different fruits and vegetables. If you have any in mind, you can search for them by name. I was looking for some lettuce to add for the hair, but I could try some other things if the lettuce isn't going to work out. I think I'm going to try this one. I was also thinking that maybe a succulent would look kind of fun in the hair. That one would be fun. All right, I've downloaded those. I'm going to go ahead and open them up in my document. All right, I'm going to go to File, Open, and open up those photos I just downloaded. Okay, so I have both of these now. I'm going to try out the lettuce first. All right. There is this selection tool called Object Selection, unique to Photopea. Let's try it out. What happens is it tries to select an object out of the background. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag a box inside of the object, in this case the lettuce, and see how there's a cross in the middle of the lettuce now? The cross needs to be inside of the object, and then you let go. So you can see here it selected this part of the lettuce. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It can select part of the object. I think I'm going to go ahead and try the quick select too. All right, and I'm going to paint my selection to try to select all of the lettuce. I'm going to increase my brush size. See if that helps. Okay, now if I was in Photoshop, I would definitely use the magnetic lasso. All right, quick select did okay, I think. Let's try it out. I'm going to copy this and paste it into my document. Oh, it did a really nice job. All right, quick select did work. I got a little bit of white in there. So right there, I got a little bit of white. So I am going to go at this point and get the magic wand. The magic wand selects pixels based on color, and white is a very consistent color. So I'm going to go ahead and click white and then click delete, and it gets rid of it. See that? Click the white and hit delete. All right, now I'm going to deselect everything, and now you can see if I move it with the move tool, the lettuce looks pretty good. It doesn't have any bad white pixels on the outside. All right, I'm going to resize this and play around with it to make it the hair. All right, edit free transform. There we go. Okay, and I think I'm gonna, play around with duplicating it and warping it. I'm gonna go to Edit, Transform, Warp. Okay, things do run a little bit slower in Photopea, so be patient, take your time. Okay, a couple of things to think about. You can play around with your layers. It's called your stacking order. And you can move your stacking order. So at the moment, for instance, right now, my right carrot is behind the right blueberry. And that's why I can see the blueberry. And if I were to, let's say, put the carrot layer on top of the blueberry layer, then you would not be able to see the blueberry, right? Sometimes your layers can get disorganized. And if this happens to you, just realize that all you need to do is rearrange the stacking order. So I'm going to go grab the right blueberry and drag it back up. And now it's in the right place. Okay, and I can move back and forth between my layers and go back and edit. I can also select multiple layers at the same time. So let's say I want to move, I want to move my whole head down so that I can get some of that hair on there. I'm going to select the top layer, not the hair, but the nose, all the way down to the head. And I'm going to click Shift and click on the bottom layer. And see how they're all grayed out now? That means I can move them all at the same time as one layer. So I'm going to move that down a little bit so that I can play around more with the hair. Okay, all right, so there's my hair. Okay, now I'm going to go and look for a background photo. So back to Unsplash. And I'd like to get a background photo. You can look at some of these like landscapes or travel or nature. All right, I think I'm actually going to look for a bicyclist. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of a, there we go. How about that one right there? My veggie head guy is going to be riding a bike. All right, I'm going to go back to Photopea. I'm going to open up the bicyclist picture. Okay, now this picture is much longer. So if I go to image size, it's going to be the dimensions are way bigger than 8 by 10. All right, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and reduce one side and see. I'm going to put 10 for the width and just kind of click away. And now the height's going to be about 5.5. Now it's only 72 ppi. So at this point, it's not really 8 by 10, but what I could do instead is crop it. So I could go to the crop tool, and then I'm going to type in that I want it to stay at a fixed size. So I'm going to put width, and let's see if I can do this in inches. Okay, so I'm going to put 10 and 8. All right, so now when I go to crop, let's see if it gives me a fixed ratio. Not really seeing the box. All right, Let's try something else. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and get my picture here, and I'm going to drag and drop it onto my portrait. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom out and resize it. And I'm going to need to, I'm going to lose a little bit of the picture. So I already did kind of lose some of it, and that's okay. And I'm going to resize it just a little bit. And I'm going to hold shift while I drag the corner so that I don't distort the image. All right, so I've got the height pretty much. I'm going to have to lose some of the width. Okay, check mark. All right, this is truly the background, so I need to move this down, down, down in my layers palette, down to below all the other layers. All right, now I want to get the head on top of the guy. So once again, I'm going to select multiple layers at a time. All of my veggie head layers are right stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to start with the head, clicking it to make that layer active. And then I'm going to shift click on the top layer so that now all the layers of the vegetable are selected. And I'm going to resize this. Edit, free, transform. I'm going to hold shift and drag a corner so that I don't distort it. And I want to put this guy right here as this bicyclist. And I'm going to make his head a little bit bigger than his body because, you know, this is fun. All right, so I'm going to check that. And let's zoom back in and see how it looks. All right, let's move it a little bit. Okay, so this is the end of the tutorial. For the rest of your assignment, please add more fruits and vegetables that you find on the stock photo sites. All right, so if this was my real project, I would continue to add more fruits and vegetables. Maybe give him some ears, a beard, maybe add some fruit and vegetable arms. All right. So make sure your veggie looks very complex and creative. Add it to a background or some sort of body like I did and really show off some creativity. All right, it's time to save this. So first off, I'm going to save it as a PSD, so just in case I want to go back and edit with my layers. So I'm going to save as a PSD. All right, next it's time, if I'm all finished and I've done all of my requirements, it's time to save this as a JPEG. And right now it has all these layers which increase the data. What I'm going to do is merge the layers. I'm going to go to Layer, Merge Layers. This is only when you are done and only after you saved a copy of your PSD with all your layers. All right, so I'm going to merge layers. All right, those were all selected, so they were merged. Now, if I go ahead and shift click on the rest and go to Layer, Merge Layers, I could also just say Flatten Image, and it'll flatten all the layers. All right, so now all my layers are gone. I can't edit this anymore if I save it. Okay, so please make sure to save your PSD beforehand. Now I'm going to go to File, Export As, and choose JPEG. All right, let's keep the quality to about 80% or higher. Keep it in JPEG format and click Save. All right, so now I would save my PSD in my Google Drive and in a second backup place. And now my JPEG is ready to turn into the Google Classroom.